Alright, today we're returning to the Brother mfc-9330. This machine is also known as the DCP-9015cdw, as well as the mfc-9340cdw. The mfc-9330cdw. The printer only version, the HL3150CDN. There is also the HL3170CDW, and for people in the US, the HL3140 printer. So the problem we're talking about today with these machines is they're all reaching a particular age in their lifespan, and a lot of them are starting to produce a paper jamming issue. Currently we've got about 5 machines in to be repaired. Every single one of them has exactly the same problem, and the problem is all due to old age. So we'll just do a test print here and show you what's happening. In this particular model of printer, the problem is intermittent for this particular customer, so the first page may not jam. Nope, good-o, this one's. And this is the paper jam message you will be presented with. We can get it into focus. So jam inside, open the top cover, pull out all 4 drums and toner cartridge assemblies, and remove the jammed paper. What you will find, if we go around to the back of the printer, open the rear door, and we will find that the paper has come out this far, and then the machine has registered that there is a paper jam. So what's going on? Well, in these machines, they have a series of sensors. So if we pull this inner door down and we have a look, as the paper comes through, it hits this little sensor arm here. Paper comes through, pushes down on that. This is connected to a plastic shaft, which is then connected to this arm over here, if we can get it into focus. So push on there, and then this goes down into a U-shaped infrared sensor down there. I'll just go see if I can find one. Okay, so here we have the little circuit board that has the infrared sensor here. So this arm over here goes down in here, and as the paper's going, it's going down and uplifting in there. So what happens with all Brother machines, they're all constructed the exact same way, is that this sensor here is made up of a little photo cell, and on the other side is an infrared LED. That infrared LED is constantly emitting infrared light, which is being picked up by the infrared sensor there. And what happens with LEDs as they age, especially if they're turned on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which this is. This sensor is always on and it's always emitting infrared light, is that the sensor simply goes dull. So to fix this particular jamming issue, we have to replace this sensor board. This should fix the issue. In some cases, there may be other sensors that we have to replace as well in the printer. So if we just pull this paper out, close this up, unplug it, we go around to the front of the machine, pull the paper tray out, now we will just carefully tilt this machine backwards without breaking it. So up under here, if we can get it into focus. So you'll see up there, there we go. So there's another circuit board up there. So up in there, so there is this sensor here, and there is another infrared sensor up under the machine. Now it is common, semi-common, that both sensor boards fail at the same time. It all comes down to the LED that's inside of that U-shaped sensor. So the first thing is we replace the sensor at the back, because it's the one exposed to heat from the fuser assembly, so it's more than likely going to be the one that fails first. If we still got our paper jamming problem, we'll then move on to changing this sensor board down here as well, and then that should fix this machine for another 5 years. So I'll just pause for a minute and then we'll get into the repair. Okay, so to begin the repair, we must open the rear door, and we have to take out this screw over here. And we need to open the inner rear door, pulling down on the green levers, and we have to take out this screw that is over here. So we will pull that cover out like so. This cover has a locking tab on here which must lock in, and then to get this cover off, you simply just got to grab the thing, the inner cover, and it will knock the plate out like so. So to get to the circuit board, we have to remove the fuser unit here. So we will start by removing this screw over here. Then we have to move the screw just up there. Okay, so now we will undo the 240 or 120 volt cable over here. Oh, incidentally, make sure you have the power cord unplugged. So to get this, you simply push on the top and then pull on the cables, like so. So you can see here it's got a squeezing locking tab. You simply just have to put pressure on the top and pull. Now over here we need to remove these sensor cables. Now these sensor cables are extremely easy to break the sockets that go into the circuit board underneath. It's not really a big issue because we're changing this circuit board. So if we break these connections, it's not a problem. If I grab this board that we're going to change, if you have a look, it's common for people, especially when they watch other YouTube videos, that people will break these off of this tiny little board. If you have a look underneath, you can see how weak the soldering is. So these little sockets here, they only have tiny amounts of lead-free solder holding them onto the board. So if you sit there wiggling them, pulling on them, pushing them, bending them, you will break the connections underneath, and then you will have to resolder this entire connection underneath. So to get these off safely, we need to carefully pull the cables out. Okay, then you have to grab both legs of the cables. So we will grab both legs, both cables, and pull evenly with pressure. Same again with the red socket. Grab both leads evenly with pressure and pull like so. So they're all good, perfectly good. Now we will simply grab the fuse unit, carefully lift it out, and that gives us access to the circuit board that we're trying to get to. Okay, so now we need to move on to removing the cables from this little circuit board. We have to be very careful not to break the leads as well. So you simply grab all of the leads together, and with one equal amount of pressure across all the leads, you pull like so. Do the same with this plug. Just being conscious not to move the plug around too much. Just grab it. And pull. Wow, that one's really quite tight in there. So if you find it really quite difficult, you can always tell machines that have been pulled apart and haven't been pulled apart before. You can stick a screwdriver underneath, put your thumb on top of it and pull it out that way. Holy hell, that one is unbelievably tight. There we go. So some of the plugs you'll come up against will be quite tight. Just be rather careful pulling them off. So you can also heat the area up with a hairdryer. That just makes the plastic a bit softer and stops it from grabbing on. Now we need to remove two plugs here. We've got to remove this plug and there's another one down here, but this is incredibly difficult in this section. I'm just going to go grab a screwdriver and we will get into it with a flathead screwdriver. Okay, so we've got our flathead screwdriver. What we're going to do is just stick it under here and we're levering off this here. Stick it in and just give it a little bit of a lift. Like so. You don't want to go all the way. And then around the other side, because you don't want to bend the pins, so don't go all the way. And just carefully lever that up. Like so. So once you've got it unlocked, you can then just get in there and lift that out. Now the final plug, which is the most difficult of all, and it's the most difficult of all to put back in when you're putting the board in, is this plug right here. So what I do is, this board is clipped. You can get it in there. You'll see there is this clip at the back. Right there. So we push it. I'm putting my thumb underneath the board here, I'm pushing it there and lifting it up like so. And then there's clips down here at the front, down here. We push it backwards and we bring it out. And that's the cable there at the back. So what I do to get this out is I don't grab the cable, I let the tension of it grabbing on the body up here. I grab this with my finger, I grab this end with my thumb, and just slowly and carefully increase the pressure, and out it comes. That way we don't damage the socket, the cable, or the board, just in case you're repairing the board because you damaged these sockets from a previous fuse or repair. Alright, so we've got our replacement board. You can buy these boards on my website. Just head over to fixitfastelectronics.com.au. We ship the circuit board worldwide. Delivery takes between 10 and 14 days usually worldwide. Australia is usually within 2 to 3 days. So we've got to do the reverse to get this back in. So we're going to do, I'm just going to pull these cables out of the road. There is a clip here. You'll notice when you're looking at yours where the cables must go underneath when we're tidying up. So on your replacement board, just make sure that the pins are all nice and straight. There's no bent pins. Have a look at the large socket, make sure these pins are all straight in a line. Have a look on this angle, make sure the pins are all vertical and the same distance from each other, and the same for this socket, the hardest one of the lot, this 2-pin socket. Just make sure that those pins are nice and straight, not bent out of shape. It's just to make sure that this is nice and easy and straightforward. So to start, we go by putting this in, and we start off by doing the most difficult socket of all, the one at the back. Okay, so we've got that socket go in a little bit, and then it's just a case of putting your finger behind it and clipping it in. So there we have that, socket's clipped in. Now my advice for the next step is to simply to lock the circuit board in and then move on to putting the large plug in. So we will drop this board down here. We will clip it in at the front here first. There we go. And then we push it down and that clicks in, and it's locked by the clip at the back up there. So next we have to get the big socket in. So we're grabbing both ends of the socket and we've got to rotate it around. So once you get one end in, it will just naturally fall into position, and then we're pushing on both ends and pushing down with equal amounts of pressure. Okay, and that plugs in. Now there are 2 plugs here at the front. The small one goes to the front, the large one goes to the back. So we will grab the ends of that. This one end in, the other end in. We'll clip that in. Now with the smaller of the 2 plugs, push that in. And that's all 4 plugs in, circuit boards in, and we just got to tidy the cables away under the clip that's here. Just make sure all the leads are under the clip and that they're going over the back of this little notch in here. Okay, and that's all tidied away and that's all done. So now we're just got to put the fuser unit back in. Here we have our fuser unit. And we'll put the 2 screws in. So now we're on the home run. Put our second screw in. In there. Then we will plug these plugs in. Now, same again, put the red in first. Just be careful not to push, bend on these sockets, no pressure. You stick this one in like so. Push it down. Now, I can't stress enough how fragile these are. I must have received over 100 emails from people who were too rough, who followed videos made by other people on YouTube where they're just blasé and not really paying attention to this problem, and that just created another level of problems for these people, just because they were so flippant about these 2 little sockets. So we take the cables, we pack them down behind. So that side is done. We move over to here. We plug in this side. Put that in. And we grab our cover for this side. Goes in and it locks in behind there, like so. Put a screw in. And over this side, we take this cover. It has to lock between this notch here and the body. So we drop it down like so. So we have the plate locked beneath there. And pushing up there. You may get a bit of pushback from the cables, that's okay. And we will stick this screw in. Now we have to put our inner rear cover in. So we put this notch here into that hole there. And then over this side, it simply goes in here like so and drop it in, and that is the inner door in. And we'll close it up, grab the inner door which we didn't pull off, and we drop that back in, close it up, plug in the power cord, bang, turn it around and see what's going on. And we'll see if we fixed it. Alright, so we'll do a test print again. So we push on the toners, we go test print, hit OK. Oh, look at that. No paper jam. Now this may be fooling us. So we'll let the machine stop for a little bit. Take it back to the home screen. Pause and wait for a little bit. Now we'll do it again. That looks pretty good. Now, you being the owner of it, you'll be testing it and using it and making sure it works okay. For those of you that own printer repair workshops, sending the printer straight back to the customer now is a risky move. So if you're not familiar with how these devices work, the infrared sensor in there is a lot similar to the way what can we compare it to? We can compare it to like an old CRT picture tube. So as CRT picture tubes age, their emissions drop, the screen becomes duller and duller as a screen gets older, and the same happens with the infrared sensor in this. As it gets older and older, its sensitivity falls. So ideally you want to put the machine aside, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and it just allows everything to reach its operating temperature. Makes this infrared receiver just sort of balance itself out, and usually within 10 minutes you'll get a clear indication as if this is working or not. So we'll do it again now. I'd say that machine is now fixed. So quality is good on this customer's machine, so we don't have to worry about doing any of that. So yeah, I'd say that that's it for this video. It's fixed. That sensor board should live for another 5 years. So you may see the machine again within 2.5 years to do the sensor board that's at the front. If you're really lucky, it'll go for another 5 years as is. So yep, that's it for today's video. I hope that solves your paper jamming issue. if you're local to the Brisbane or Gold Coast area in Australia and you've got this problem with your printer, you can follow the About Us and in the description file below to the link where you can either buy this spare part and fit it yourself, or we will come out on site in the local area and fit it for you. If you buy a set of our toner cartridges, we will come out and replace this circuit board for free, which a lot of people seem to think is a pretty good deal. So the way we run our business is if you use our toner cartridges in your printer, any maintenance issues, any breakdown problems, we look after your printer and we fix the printer for free. It's our version of managed print service. Yeah, so otherwise, if you're in other parts of the world, go into the description below the video. You can order this part and we ship it worldwide for you to follow the video and fix it yourself. So yeah, that's it for today, 22nd of the 5th 2023. Yeah, thanks for watching. And subscribe if you want to subscribe. Yep.